I invite you all to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. I'd like you to imagine a forest where the trees are gone, just jagged stumps sticking out of the dry, cracked earth. The sky above you is a harsh grey, casting long, dark shadows across the bare lands. The ground below your feet holds tiny shoots that struggle to grow, dwarfed by the emptiness around them. This is a forest that can no longer breathe. Keeping your eyes closed, I would like you to envision a lush green forest before the destruction. You can hear native birds sing to one another. You can see trees stretching endlessly towards the sky. The sunlight peering through the canopy, scattering golden light across the forest floor. You can hear the distant trickle of a stream weaving through the undergrowth. The air feels cool and alive. Maybe this reminds you of a time you were last in a forest, or early childhood memory, playing freely in the bush, feeling safe, curious, and deeply connected to the world around you. You may open your eyes. That feeling, peace, belonging, is exactly what we're losing in this world of consumerism, rush, and money-hungry mindsets. And it's why I'm here today. Native trees are not just scenery. They are living stories, the strength and the life of Aotearoa. They connect us to our ancestors, to the land, and to one another. Before I introduce my project, I would like to share my pepeha. Ko mototou te manga, ko taikarau te awa, ko ngā tukimata whaurua te waka, ko ngā pui te iwi, ko ngā tihini te hapu. Ko mototou te manga, ko taranaki te rohi. Ko Dana tuku mama, ko Taffy tuku papa, ko Brenda tuku koia, ko Tipene tuku whānau. Ko Waikamania tuku ingoa. I share this pepeha to show my connection to this country, to this land, and to my ancestors and forests that have shaped me and guided everything I've done, including this project. Forests around the world look breathtakingly beautiful, like the Congo, the Atlantic, and even the Great Amazon. You may think it has endless greenery, steaming wildlife, but we know that's not always true. These face daily challenges: logging, mining, urban expansion, and climate change. Statistics show that 18 football fields of rainforest were lost every minute in 2024, nearly doubling the rate in 2023. Imagine what that looks like now in 2025 as I speak to you today. And this isn't just numbers and statistics, it's the loss of animals' homes, their habitats, human livelihoods, and fragile ecosystems that sustain our planet Earth. New Zealand is known for its green spaces, like in this vibrant bush or in this native forest. But we too have a reality that is hidden. Less than 25% of our native forest remains. Before pre-human arrival, 80% of Aotearoa was covered in native forest, filled with rimu, tōtara, kaikatea. But over time, this forest was cleared for farming and settlement. Just even in the few years, hundreds of hectares have been lost. Through my research, there are two concepts that I came across: deforestation and temporary forest loss. Deforestation refers to the action of clearing a section of land where trees can no longer grow, damaging the soil health, whereas temporary forest loss is the same, but trees can be replanted and regrow. But the main drivers in New Zealand for deforestation include hard commodities, agriculture, and settlements. In the North Island and South Island, like Bay of Plenty, Northland, Hawke's Bay, and Canterbury, are all responsible for 51% of our forestry loss, with Waikato taking that leaderboard. When we do this, we don't just lose the plant itself, we lose animals' homes like our manu, kiwi, kiriru, our connection to the past, this taonga that cannot be replaced. Nature has always been centred to my childhood. I was always a kid running barefoot in the forest, rescuing animals along the way. As a woman from Ngāpuhi, Ngāti Hine, my nan used to tell me great stories about the Patupa Haerehe, the forest and mountain spirits, or fairies in Mototo. It started my initial inspiration about writing about them back in my Year 9 class in English. This started my inspiration for the forest, of the power and the magic it holds. But it hasn't been all that easy. I remember digging for clay up on the hill behind the art room. It was pouring with rain. The shovel wouldn't go an inch into the ground. I felt lost, overwhelmed. I felt like I was on the wrong path, really. I only had an idea in Google search. But I remembered small actions can create a meaningful change and a ripple effect. And I remembered, we only stress because we care. And so with that, I created hundreds of eco-pods and gifting over 70 to the community. I hosted workshops for kids and adults. The ingredients: soil, clay, fertilizer like blood and bone, and native seeds. What could go wrong? But I had a lot to think about. I had to think about the dough texture. If it was too wet, it would fall apart. Too dry, it would crumble. I even thought I could just throw in the native seeds and roll them up in a little dirt ball, but I was wrong. Even the seed placement inside the ecopod was crucial for its development and growth. I also created a brochure and an active QR code for people to reach out and take a part of my project home with them. My idea spread rapidly to people of all ages, even staff here teaching younger learners how to make their own ecopod without me having to guide it. And so with that, here are the ecopods. So I had an environmental and social impact, but how do I connect deeper to Te Ao Māori? So I ran my network system and collaborated with Matua Jeff. He told me something valuable that I'd never really thought about before. In a Western worldview, there's often a strong focus on results, like reaching a finish line, getting a degree. But in Te Ao Māori, it's more of the process and the ongoing action, what can grow from this ideal. It's less about, did we reach the finish line? It's more about growing. So one word that connects strong to my project is kaitiakitanga. You may know it as guardianship and care, but it's more than that. It's this relationship with you and nature. When I take clay from the side of the hill and plant a native pod or plant a native seed, it's doing that value and showing that relationship. In Te Ao Māori, we are part of nature, not separated from it. So with Matua Jeff's help, we have collaborated with Ngāti Tairi and other rōpū that do similar environmental initiatives. And still today, we have ongoing negotiations to keep this idea alive, this kaupapa alive for future growth and for future people. Native forests are not just scenery. They're living stories, homes, part of who we are. Even a small action can create meaningful change. So I encourage you, take your ecopod home and protect a small patch of forest, and most importantly, reconnect with the natural world around you. I want to thank my teachers, Matua Jeff, Matua Elijah, Paxau, and Whaia Sarah for their support and guidance. I want to thank the community here today to listen to my story and my journey. I want to thank my classmates for their time and energy and motivation throughout the workshops. And I also want to thank Whaia Sarah's sister, Jane, for a generous donation of native seeds and fertilizer. E haru taku tō e te takitahi. My individual action is not just by myself, but as a collective, we can do it together. So I challenge you, plant an ecopod and let that be a symbol of changing our reality. Thank you.